Get ready for Oskaloosa High School sports on the Indians Network. Live sports. Local content. Student-run broadcasts. MCG, Oski News, and KIIC bring you the Indians Network. Presented by Craig Ford.
Hello, Indians fans. Welcome to another edition of the Indians Corner here on the Indians Network. Our Indians Corner is presented by our friends Wendell Campbell State Farm and the Oskaloosa Hy-Vee right here on the Indians Network, which of course is a partnership with MCG, Oskaloosa News, and Thunder Country KIIC. My name is Jamie Brockman. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully everybody got through the snow and ice okay this past weekend and stayed safe out there. We're going to talk Oskaloosa sports, of course, this week. We're going to talk girls basketball, boys basketball, and wrestling. Our guest this week will include boys basketball coach DeJuan Foster, who, of course, is filling in for Ryan Parker, who, by the way, underwent a successful kidney transplant this past week on January 9th was the date. I believe that was Thursday. So good to hear that Coach Parker came out okay and is on the road to recovery. He's going to be in the hospital, I understand, for a couple of weeks and then be able to come home. But it's going to be about a 10 to 12-week recovery for Coach Parker. And he will not coach again this season for Oskaloosa, but he does plan to return to his activity director duties at school sometime later on here in his recovery. So we continue to keep him in our thoughts and prayers. We hope you do too as he continues to recover, and we wish him and his family the best. So we'll have Coach DeJuan Foster joining us today. We'll look back at the loss to Norwalk this past Tuesday and look ahead to a very busy week for Oskaloosa basketball, which has 7 games coming up in the next 11 days, believe it or not. We'll talk about, let's look at the Little Hawkeye Conference right now on the boys' side. And, we've talked about this all year long. The Little Hawkeye Conference boys is just about as even as it's been in a long, long time. Whoever finishes at the bottom of this conference is still a team that is state tournament contender. Just because they're at the bottom of the Little Hawkeye Conference does not mean they're not a team that could make it to the state tournament. But DCG, Indianola, and Norwalk are all 3-1 right now in the conference. This is being filmed on Sunday, by the way. There will be a couple conference games played by the time this airs. Grinnell, Pella, and Pella Christian are 2-2, and then Newton is 1-3, and right now Oskaloosa is at the bottom at 0-4, looking for that first win. Indianola has beaten DCG, Pella beat Norwalk, Pella Christian beat Pella. It's just been a crazy season in the Little Hawkeye Conference boys race. So hopefully Oski can pick up some wins here in the second half of the season, and they got a busy schedule coming up. As we said, Monday they're at Pella making up the games from Friday. Tuesday they host Indianola. Friday they go to Pella Christian, and Saturday they're home non-conference against Cedar Rapids Jefferson. Girls basketball will not be joining us this week as Coach J.C. White or any of her assistants were unavailable, but the girls suffered a 47-26 loss on Tuesday to Norwalk. They're now 1-8 on the season and 0-4 in the conference. Amanda Fay led Oski scores with 9 in that game Tuesday with Norwalk. Mary Nelson had 6, so did Addison Carter coming off the bench. Monday they're at Pella. Tuesday they host Indianola. Friday at Pella Christian, and Saturday non-conference road game at Washington for Oskaloosa girls basketball. We'll also talk wrestling, and we'll talk to Coach Chase Weber, who will be joining us, as well as senior captain Wyatt Creer will be joining us on this week's program as well. So we'll talk a lot about Oskaloosa wrestling. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this break, and we'll get it started with another Indians Corner here on the Indians Network. Back after this.
This is more than a bundle. It's more than a combo deal. It's not just stuff. This is your home, your car. And you want to give them the protection they deserve with home and auto insurance. State Farm agents get it. It's why they're here.
Call State Farm agent Wendell Campbell at 641-673-4462.
Hy-Vee's Choice Reserve and Prime Reserve beef, arguably the best beef in America. Their quality and flavor are undisputable, undeniable. Let's get ready to be unstoppable! And the winner by unanimous decision, Hy-Vee!
Welcome back to Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee here on the Indians Network. Jamie Brockman back with you this week, and we're going to talk Oskaloosa boys basketball. As you see, I'm joined here by Oskaloosa boys basketball coach DeJuan Foster. And Coach Foster, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Jamie. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in. Well, a lot to talk about with Oskaloosa boys basketball. Obviously, Mother Nature played a factor in the weekend and wiped out our games on Friday at Pella. We're making those up on Monday. Makes for a really busy week and actually next 10, 11 days for Oskaloosa boys basketball with 7 games in the next 11 days. But let's first go back to the Norwalk game on Tuesday night, obviously, Coach. You know, that was a highly amped up game, highly anticipated. Everybody's been thinking about it ever since the final buzzer at Wells Fargo last year. And I don't think the game disappointed. It was thrilling. It was up and down. Didn't end the way you wanted, but it was a fun basketball game.
It was. It was fun to play in, and there was also a lot of emotion tied to that game. You know, we all knew going in that this was Coach Parker's last night coaching, and the guys really came out and gave it their all. I mean, you know, the thing is, we are. It's almost like game one for us. You know, we come out of Christmas break and now we have Xavier back. And so roles are kind of shifting and guys are having to do different things, or they've changed since, you know, the last 5 times, and just having to simulate Bowen Born in practice. You know, it was a tough thing to do, but I think all in all, that was one of our best games of the season. I mean, sure, we didn't necessarily win it, but as far as, you know, how we played and how we, you know, played with one of the better teams in the state, I'll take it.
Absolutely. Definitely best 4 quarters I think that we played all year, even though it resulted in a 73-64 loss. Obviously, Xavier had a big game in his first game back, 36 points. Bowen Born went for 49, so you know, the 2 stars did what they were advertised to do. He came out of the gate strong. He led 19-13 after the first quarter. So let's start there. Talk about the start and how your guys came out and answered that first 8 minutes.
You know what? The first 8 minutes, Xavier made shots. It's just that simple. It wasn't anything special. The kid just made shots. And, you know, I think he kind of got tired and turned into a shot taker versus being a shot maker. And that's something that we're going to work on here, trying to get him in a position to score to where it's a bit easier for him, as well as being able to distribute the wealth, you know, because he attracts so much attention, to be able to get those shots from other guys versus him jacking shots.
So you knew Norwalk wasn't going to go down easy, and I'm sure you fully expected them to come back, which they did. 1 point lead at halftime, 33-32. So what was the talks at halftime? What were you seeing in that first half that you tried to adjust to in the second half?
Once again, just keep playing hard. I mean, we did a really good job. We kind of shot ourselves in the foot the last 3 seconds of the first half, with Bourne being able to go the length of the court in 2.8 seconds and get, I want to say, got an and one to cut it to a 3-point game, 1-point game. So it's just a tough thing, but just keep that energy and effort, and we thought we'd be okay.
So Norwalk then took a 3-point lead after 3 quarters and then outscored us 21-15 in the fourth quarter to get the 73-64 win. Xavier 36 points, Isaac Schultz had 11, Noah Van Veldhuizen 8, Keaton Flaherty with 7. Those were the leaders for us. But one stat that stands out to me, and I'm sure you guys as coaches, we were 8 of 30 from 3-point range. 33-point shots in a game. If you're making those, I guess it's a good thing. But tell me your thought on that and where you want to see that number.
There isn't really necessarily a number that, you know, we say, hey, we want to keep it under this number. We've never told our guys to not shoot the ball. It was like, if you get an open look, knock it down, you know. And that's the thing we have to kind of work on, is figuring out what the difference between a good shot and a great shot is. You know, one more pass and we get a great shot versus taking a good shot.
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned the emotion and everything, so we'll talk about that before we move forward. Obviously, well known now, it was Coach Parker's last game this season, as he underwent a kidney transplant on January 9th over the break, or right after the break, after that Norwalk game. I understand, first of all, let's talk about Coach Parker. I understand everything went well and successful, and he's on the road to recovery.
He is on the road to recovery. He's doing good. You know, he's getting kind of stir-crazy being there in the hospital, but, you know, I think he's ready to at least be home so, you know, the guys can come visit him. We can go see him. But as of right now, things are going well.
That's good to hear. And this program has had so much adversity this year with Coach Parker's health in and out, and then Xavier with his mono and so forth. And now, as you said, it was kind of like game one out of the break. So now it's, again, the keys are handed to you and Coach Randy Howard. Does much change with you and Coach Howard? Do you guys have different philosophies on how this team plays, or do you kind of follow the game plan that we've had?
I think we're too late in the game to change philosophies. It's going to be everything's the same, just a different voice. We can't change anything right now. It's the second half of the season. I mean, sub-state parents come out in 2.5, 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. So it's just continue to plug away and get better. It's as long as we make an effort to get better every day in practice, I think we'll be okay when time comes.
Oskaloosa 4-4 right now, 0-4 though in the Little Hawkeye Conference, and we've talked all year about how tough this conference is, up and down, and how everybody's going to kind of beat everybody, I think, at least once before it's all done. But here we are, 0-4 in the Little Hawkeye. Does that surprise you at all?
Not really. I mean, with what we've gone through, no. And, there's never really a night off, especially when you're wearing the target. Sure, we aren't the team that we were last year, but at the same time, we're still the defending state champs. I think that, it's something for guys to talk about. We beat Oskaloosa with Xavier Foster. That's one of those things that, you talk about for the rest of your life.
Exactly. Well, it's not going to get any easier, that's for sure. 7 games in the next 11 days for the Oskaloosa boys basketball team. And the Pella game that got called off due to snow on Friday is rescheduled to Monday. This show's obviously airing after Monday, but you go to Pella Monday, that's not going to be easy. They beat us twice last year, despite us winning state. So I think they want to show us that that they are the better team, and they're playing red hot right now.
They are playing really well, and they got 4 or 5 guys who shoot the ball really well. A couple guys who just do everything. And the thing is, Pella was good enough to win state last year.
Yeah.
It just fell short in their sub-state final game. I mean, this is a team with all the pieces to win it all, and it's about us going in and establishing ourselves in the post, playing inside out, and defending them, and we'll see what happens from there.
So with the game snowed out on Friday, did you get a chance to take advantage of getting extra practice in there, a little extra press time?
You know what? We weren't able to because there was Friday and then there was the Saturday snow, so they had canceled all school activities Friday and Saturday, and Sundays we don't do anything. So it's just one of those things. We'll get together and we'll talk a little bit tomorrow prior to the game, and then go at it. I think Thursday night we were ready to play that game Friday. Not really thinking that it was going to get snowed out, but I think the guys are ready and they know what the game plan is. If we go out and execute, we'll be okay.
So that's Monday at Pella, girl-boy doubleheader, and then Tuesday at home have Indianola coming in. Indianola just took it to DCG, so Indianola's a team that's kind of creeping in there as well.
I'll tell you what, Indianola is one of the more surprising teams in the league after last year. They made a good run in the conference, and this team has been a long time coming. When I got here, Indianola I think they won 2 games in conference that year, 6 the following. They won 18 or 19 last year, and this year they started out 0-2, and they've won their last 6, 7 games, and they're playing really well, and they distribute the wealth more so than they have in years past years. They had a couple kids, 1 or 2 kids who did all the scoring. Now they have 4 kids who really score the ball well, and they're really well-disciplined team, and they move the ball around and they play really hard.
So that is at home on Tuesday night. Oskaloosa girls and boys hosting Indianola, another conference game. Get a couple days to rest, and then Friday you go on the road to Pella Christian. Now, we've beaten Pella Christian 7 times consecutively. I don't know if that's ever happened before, and we'd like to make it 8. They want to see that streak come to an end. It's a big night at Pella Christian Friday. I'm sure you've been made aware. They're going to celebrate their state championships from the 90s. And they're going to have that team there, and they're going to do a big thing in between games and things like that. So it's going to be an electric night. I expect it's going to be a packed gym on Friday. And Pella Christian, despite being a 2A school, certainly is a team that you can't take lightly.
They're a 2A school, but you know what? They have 3A or higher talent there.
Yeah.
They have, just because the number of kids that they have doesn't really mean anything. Those kids can all play, and they've been together for 4 years. That team has all been together from, from 6th, 7th grade, and they play really well together. They have an inside-outside presence. They got, slashers in the wing. And it's a fairly tough place to play. That's a really small gym, and it gets loud, it gets kind of crazy. So, it's going to be exciting to get to it and play those guys.
And, I was talking to one of my broadcast partners, Dud DeCock, earlier, and, we've had such a height advantage over our opponents for the last few years. and we probably have it again. But I think when you look at the Little Hawkeye Conference, even though there's the smallest school in the conference, height-wise, they probably match up the best with us. Do you agree?
They do, and you know what? They might be the biggest team in the conference, and for the past 3 years, that's been us. Mm-hmm. It's not anymore. I mean, they have kids 6'9", 6'6", 6'4", 6'4". You know, they may be the biggest team in the conference, and finally, you know, I'm sure it gets kind of tiring for Xavier to play against a bunch of little guys, and now he gets to play against someone near his size, and, you know, we'll see what happens.
So that is Friday night. Get there if you can. It's going to be a big one at Pella Christian, and I advise you get there early because, as I said, big celebration for their 90s championship team's going to be going that night. So I expect it will be a very, very full house and big atmosphere on Friday night. Of course, we'll have all these games for you this week on the Indians Network. Home games will have video. Road games will have audio only for you. And then Saturday, you step out of the conference, you've got Cedar Rapids Jefferson coming in. Obviously, Cedar Rapids area, they're a bigger school, 4A team. What do you know about Cedar Rapids Jefferson, and what are you, it's a non-conference game, what are you hoping to accomplish in that game?
You know what, I don't know very much about Cedar Rapids Jefferson, but I do know this is a team that beat us last year, and we were 3A state champs, and they beat us on a neutral court last year. You know, they had a couple guards who could really get after it. They played really, really hard defensively. And they kind of took us out of the stuff that we wanted to do. I'm no doubt in my mind, you know, their record doesn't necessarily quantify how good or bad they are. That, you know, once again, there's the Xavier Foster and the Oskaloosa team that we hear so much about. What do they got to lose if they come out and play hard? The good part for us is it's on our home court, so maybe we can use that as an advantage.
And that's a boys-only game on Saturday. The girls are actually on the road at Washington Saturday, so split venues on Saturday. But the varsity boys game will tip off at 5:30 on Saturday at Oskaloosa Gym, and of course we'll have it here on the Indians Network. So, we're 4-4, 0-4 in conference play. I got to think we're probably one of the better, if not best, 4-4 teams in the state right now. We've seen glimpses of what we can do. How do you feel the mental attitude is right now for the team and the guys? Does this 4-4, 0-4 bother them at all? How do you think they are right now?
I don't think so. I don't think we can put too much stock in where we are right now. Sure, we've lost some games, but I can remember a time last year where we lost 5 of 7. You know, there's a point right in the middle of the season we lost 5 of 7 games, and we were dead in the water, so everyone thought. Late January, we got hot and we ran off 13 in a row. So it's about just getting hot and peaking at the right time. You'll have teams who peaked early on and teams who peak late. So it's about peaking at the right time, understanding your roles and what's expected of you, putting it all together at the right time of year.
For sure. So are we healthy now? Are we 100% where we want to be now finally?
We are as healthy as we're going to be moving forward. Right now it's about getting a bit more conditioning, but other than that, you just got to go. You got to work with what you got and, play hard, and it'll work itself out.
All right. Well, a busy week, busy next 2 weeks for you and Coach Howard and the guys, but good luck to you. Hopefully we can go out there and get some W's and, take a little pressure off and have some fun out there on the basketball court next couple weeks.
Thank you, Jamie.
All right. That is DeJuan Foster. He's the head coach right now for Oskaloosa boys basketball. Of course, filling in for Coach Parker, who is out with the season. Had the kidney transplant on the 9th of January, and all going well so far in his recovery. And we continue to send our wishes and prayers and thoughts to Coach Parker and his family as they recover from this situation and come back healthy. We'll take a break. We'll have more to come on this week's edition of Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee, right after this.
Shake the sugar tree till I feel you.
They was swinging. Yeah, just a swing. I'd get it one piece at a time, and it wouldn't cost me a dime.
You mind your own business. Mind your own business. Everybody in town knows I'm crazy over you. Thunder Country, your all-time favorites.
MCG was born out of the need for reliable connectivity in rural Iowa. We put small-town values over all else because serving local communities is something we take seriously. We believe in providing world-class service, in giving our communities a chance to succeed, in treating everyone like family. MCG helped pioneer reliable communication services in Iowa, and in doing so, learned how to provide solutions in underserved communities. MCG, world-class service, small-town values.
Welcome back to this week's Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee here on the Indians Network. Jamie Brockman, we're going to talk mat now, wrestling, with Oskaloosa wrestling coach Chase Weber joining us. And Coach, good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Good to see you too.
All right, well, you got a little bit of time off this weekend, this past weekend. You were supposed to wrestle at Winterset Saturday, but Mother Nature had other plans. So you guys have had a little extra off time heading into what's going to be a busy stretch coming up.
Yeah, it's always unplanned when you have the last minute cancellations. And we didn't even have practice Friday because of it. So kids have had a pretty easy last few days.
Absolutely. Well, since you visited with Joe Millage last week on the show, you did have one duel on Thursday night, and it was a thriller. Went right down to the wire, and it was at Newton, and Newton picked up a 41-41 win, 1 point win in a 14-weight duel, and you guys had a 17-point lead late, and unfortunately slipped away there with some of the heavyweights at the end.
Yeah, it just kind of fell where kind of our experienced guys went out and did business against their inexperienced guys, and then they flip-flopped with us, where some of the younger guys they had some good studs where we didn't match up to where it was a close match. It was all pin, get pinned, and back and forth. And then, I think they won the last 4 out of 5 weights to kind of seal it up. But, we always have kids that you're not trying to put pressure on them, but at the end, we were kind of putting pressure on them.
Well, as I look at the results, there was not a single match decided in the 14 weights by a regular decision. One was a major decision, one was a tech fall, and I think all the rest of them were pins, and there was one forfeit in there from Newton. So, if you're a person that likes throws and pins and things like that, this was a duel to see at Newton. But how do you feel overall about the performance of your team in that one, even though it came up 1 point short?
On paper, about as scratch as you can get. We look at, like I said, those experience. You go against a senior, and we got maybe it's a sophomore or freshman, and you hope for the best, but you don't know. And the team score 41-40. We're only 3 points away from a perfect match score of all pins or forfeit. The 6-point win. So high scoring and a little more excitement. It was a little quicker, but we had I think 6 JV before and 3 JV matches after, so it was a nice full night. It just lots of pins and things went fast.
Well, one highlight of that night, of course, was the return of senior Cody Gunn, who has missed the season so far due to a knee injury, but I know he's been working out as much as he can and rehabbing that knee, and he's been there as a supporter of his teammates and things. But he got to hit the mat for the first time this season, and you thought maybe he wanted to stay out there a little bit, but no, it was a 24-second fall for Cody, a quick throw and pin in his first match back. That was exciting.
He kind of asked us that too, and last year I think the kid had been in on the lineup before, and we knew he wasn't going to be too much of a slouch. And he's like, "Hey, do you want me to do this or this?" We're like, "No, we just want you to do whatever's there and take care of it. If you can pin him right away, go for it. No reason we don't need the workout." And so that's what happened. He had one opening, he took the advantage, and we ended up winning out. So it was nice that he stayed healthy, and it was nice he actually got a match. So that part was all good.
Absolutely. And then Saturday, you were supposed to go to Winterset. That, of course, got canceled. So we've got a lot of matches coming up, duels and things at home. In fact, the next 4 Thursdays simultaneously are all home meets for the Oskaloosa wrestling team. So come on out and support them, JV and varsity. I know this Thursday we have DCG at home in a duel. There's going to be a quad in there in that one of those 4 Thursdays, a triangular. So a lot of wrestling coming up in the Oskaloosa gym here in the next month on the next 4 Thursdays. Before we talk about all that, let's talk about some of the things you guys do outside of the wrestling room. I know, your wrestling room is smaller than you'd like it to be and a little more crowded with extra kids in there this year. So it's nice to get out of the room every once in a while and do some things. And you did that, a couple of neat things. You had a pool practice and then like a movie day. Tell me about that and how that kind of helped bring your team together.
Well, every year trying to get more people out and keep them out, and so trying to give them a little incentives and make things a little mixed up over Christmas break, where you're coming in on your day off and we're trying to make it more fun. So other than practice being too easy, back home we used to do that. We used to go to the pool for a couple times a year to get a workout in. Ours is a little bit further away than the back door, so we talked to the Y and we got a time set up, so we sent in. I think there's over 30 kids showed up for it, and we had a nice little pool workout, whether it was, trying to move our feet quick underwater, or we made them do, sprints back and forth, or just kicking on the side as hard as they could to get a quick burn, and then they had a little bit of free time at the end to have some fun.
So, I mean, that's kind of an interesting concept. I don't know how many programs maybe do that or take advantage of something like that, but anybody that's been in the water and tried to run or play any kind of sport event in the water, it's not easy. It is a brutal workout.
Right. You can make it as hard as you want to. I mean, depending on your experience level of being in the water, you can make things really hard. We tried to have them do as much different versions, and without having a full disclosure of signing off who can swim good or bad. We were just kind of eyeballing, making sure they're okay. But the Y had their lifeguards. They're more nervous than we were. But we had some fun. We even tried to do a couple moves at the end, trying to get kids to throw each other through the water, but not dunking.
Yeah.
Just under control of actual moves, and so they had some fun.
See, when I was in school, we would have got kicked out of the Y. They would have booted us out because we were, these kids are a little more well-behaved than my group was back in the day, I think. But that's neat. I like that concept, and I'm sure the kids enjoyed getting out of the room and having some fun together as a team. So now back to business. We mentioned next 4 Thursdays home in the Oskaloosa Gym, and that starts this Thursday with DCG coming in for a conference duel, and I haven't had a lot of time to break down DCG yet myself, but I can tell they look to be pretty tough. What are your thoughts on DCG?
Like you said, look to be tough. I think they're a step up from last year. I mean, they started the year with a handful of guys ranked and ready to go. So between their opportunities over in that area versus ours, they traditionally have been a tougher team. They have a couple guys that have been around for a while now, working their way through their junior, senior season. So they're definitely usually tough. I remember going into last year thinking if things go perfect, we can have a nice close duel. And then we had a couple guys where I think a couple were kind of sick, and then a 1 or 2 match that didn't go our way. But that's always what happens. So we come in, if we can do just like we do with Newton, we got to get our certain ones that have to win. They win big, and now we're in position to win. If we run into those head-to-head hard ones, we got to come out on the front side and not take that big 3-6 point swings where with wrestling it's, they take points away from you if they score.
So that is going to be Thursday night at home. It's, I believe, a 5:30 start time, if I'm right on that, I believe.
Should be 6:30. Just this weekend, next week should be 6:30. And then we'll hit that big quad of, that'll be a little bit earlier.
Okay, so you've got JV and varsity both going conference duel, and of course we'll have it live right here on the Indians Network, but we do encourage you to come out and get in the stands and make some noise and support the wrestlers. That's big. I mean, I know you and Joe discussed this a little bit last week, but I imagine I should have asked Wyatt about this, but I imagine if you ask the wrestlers in a tight match like that, when the crowd's behind them in their home gym, it's got to give them that extra little boost, I would think.
Well, yeah, and Newton had that little extra boost. They had a good atmosphere, and there's already enough going on with the night where we had the pin cancer event. And
yes.
I know you asked me about that a minute ago, where if you watched or saw pictures, we were wearing white and blue singlets, which that's never going to happen again or ever before. But it was something they did for their school fundraiser, and they raised enough money, and this company sends out the uniforms to wear. And then they said, we just send them back, and they send it to another school. So it was kind of a neat thing. We thought we'd help out and be part of it with them, and it ended up being a 1-point duel, and the whole gym was excited. But that home crowd always gives you the little bit extra than the kids hear it. Some of them use it. Some of it makes it easier to block out so they can focus. But anytime it's your home gym, it's always nicer.
Sure. Well, let's talk about the team now as a whole. We're past the Christmas break now, so I guess technically we're past the halfway point, if you will, and districts are looming not that far away. Conference just ahead of that, and we talked at the beginning of the year. You've got a lot of youth in the room. And then we got a little bit of veterans too, especially in those middleweights, and then Keegan at heavyweight. So how do you feel your youth is coming along now as we're past the halfway point? And are your older guys performing as expected?
Older guys are performing right about where we want them. They only have a few losses between all of them, which is kind of expected depending on competition, but they're right about where we want them. We're going to keep pushing them to get a little more and more and more, but they're doing pretty on pace. The end goal is always districts. We're not expecting to have them peaked and ready to go just for the Ankeny tournament. We know that there's more left, and sometimes fans or even parents or outsiders look in saying, oh, well, how come this guy looks rusty? Like, it's all right, he was sick last week, we're fine, we're not worried yet, that kind of situation where the young guys have been doing really well. Between attendance and effort in the practice room, that JV tournament went well for the younger guys that got some extra matches in. We've been seeing that all year with the extra matches that we've given them. They've really been doing everything you ask. They show up, they work hard. Now you can tell some of them it's sinking in a little more in what they've been doing. There's a couple freshmen at the upper weights where just wrestling against each other, we see things that are so much better from the start of the season. Just between small moves, or if it's just transitions between what they were doing. So that has been, we really liked last week what we saw out of that.
So health-wise, is everybody healthy, and is your lineup full and the way you want it here heading down the stretch?
Other than some flu-like symptom stuff, yeah. There's no injuries that we're working on right now. Cody was the big one out. A couple of guys might say their shoulders are sore or something, but we got trainers are saying they're fine, so we say you're fine. Well, a little bit of that sickness, kids have been getting tested for mono or whatever what's the other version called that I don't even know.
I don't know either, but I do know that there's been emails sent out from the front office at the school, and it is a concern right now with all the illness going around Oskaloosa schools. So
yeah, so it's hard on us between we have skin disease we're trying to worry about, making sure we're staying clean, because we're a contact sport where it's hot and sweaty, and now you're going to be headbutting each other and you want to be sick and you're coughing, Yep. That's the second part where now we got to be careful of who, you don't feel good, why don't you ride the bike? We'll just make sure today. That kind of stuff, which makes practice, struggle in a different way.
Sure. So we mentioned DCG this coming Thursday at home. Then you go to Ankeny on Saturday, and obviously, you're talking bigger schools there. You're talking maybe a little bit of a flavor of what you're going to see in districts. So, even if you're toward the bottom of the team race, you're going to pick up some good experience there, I imagine.
Yeah, and Winterset had a mix of different schools, and they might not all be what we're going to see, but it's a nice mix, and so we missed out. Now we got to get ready for Ankeny without having that competition, so that little edge we might have gained, now we got to be extra ready for Ankeny, where, they have a good team. They have a lot of common opponents that are going to be affecting our seeds. So when I go into those coaches meetings saying, hey, I want to be on this part of the bracket, every win matters, and it always has, but later in the year, the more important they get. So we want to get to those good matchups where, okay, if Leland has a number one ranked guy in his bracket, let's see him in the finals and make sure we have a good match. We don't want to miss out on some of those opportunities to test ourselves and things like that.
Sure. And forgot to mention it, but definitely want to mention it. That is, we do have one wrestler that has cracked into the individual top 10 rankings in Class 3A according to the Predicament rankings, and that is Leland Evans at 138 pounds, the junior. He's currently ranked number 10, so that's good to see. And I imagine, soon we may see one or two others sneak into the top 10 in their weight classes.
If they can keep it rolling, yeah, definitely. We talked to some of those ranking guys and things like that. You tell them what's going on and how you feel and how kids are doing. And, we got that big group of seniors plus Leland. It's like, look at them. Their records are showing it. Cody's back. We'll see how he can hang in there with the rest. And, this tournament will be a big proving point. We want kids to be recognized. I think most of them use that as a way to keep pushing yourself. We try to keep it on that positive side mentally when you see it. It's not a burden, it's a gift, and so push yourself to earn that right to stay there kind of thing.
Yep. Well, so once again, this Thursday, DCG at home, and then on to Ankeny Saturday, and then much more coming the following week, which we'll talk to Coach about next week on Indians Corner here on the Indians Network. But, Coach, last thing, just tell the fans out there, what they can expect when they come to a wrestling meet at Oskaloosa, like this Thursday, DCG. It's just the two this week, so it's going to be shorter and faster than a triangular or a quad will be later. But tell us about the atmosphere, some things you're doing, and what fans can expect.
Well, you're going to see a lot of those young guys they're not afraid when they go out there. They're going to go out, give it their all, whether it's a 10-second match or if it's a full 6-minute match. they've showed us that they are not afraid just to try anything that's there. One of them is like Blake Westerkamp. He's going to go out and give you a show for sure. He's not afraid to go crazy and give it all, and no matter what position it is. So sometimes we roll on top, sometimes we get stuck on bottom, and that's the same for some of those other guys too. Our Riley Soroki at 106 just on last Thursday was back and forth, that kid. We ended up not giving up the points. I think we won 9-0, but same thing where we're over here sweating bullets because we're like, no, don't get caught there. Okay, good job. And then, they get back up. So should be exciting. If we're looking for pins out of our top guys, and that's always fun to get up and yell for. But you should see a good show. We have our new gym with the lights, so it makes a nice atmosphere. Mm-hmm. You get the bigger crowd. It's a little louder. So all that rolled together. Come be part of it and not just wish and think and ask.
All right. Well, we hope you can join us in the gym on Thursday. If not, we'll have it live right here on the Indians Network, and I'll be joined by Brett Sams on the commentary, and we'll be calling all the matches for you Thursday as DCG comes in. It's a 6:30 start time. We'll be on the air probably a little ahead of that, about 6:15 on Thursday. So, Coach, always good to talk to you. Thanks for coming in. Good luck to you guys this week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks again.
That is Chase Weber. He's the head wrestling coach at Oskaloosa High School, joining us here on the Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee. We'll talk more wrestling with senior wrestler Wyatt Creer coming up after the break.
Hy-Vee's Choice Reserve and Prime Reserve beef, arguably the best beef in America. Their quality and flavor are undisputable, undeniable. Let's get ready to be unstoppable! Decision.
This is more than a bundle. It's more than a combo deal. It's not just stuff. This is your home, your car. And you want to give them the protection they deserve. With home and auto insurance. State Farm agents get it. It's why they're here.
Call State Farm agent Wendell Campbell at 641-673-4462.
Welcome back to this week's edition of Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee here on the Indians Network. I'm Jamie Brockman. We're going to talk a little wrestling right now, and we've got one of our senior wrestlers joining us on the program this week. This is senior Wyatt Creer. He wrestles at 145 pounds for the Indians. And Wyatt, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I know you've been busy here the last couple of days. You and your buddy Tyler have been out shoveling some of this snow they dumped on us this weekend.
Yep, sure have.
Pretty good workout. Keeps you ready for the room, huh?
Yeah.
And you make a little money, not too bad. Well, let's talk about your senior season of wrestling. First of all, you're currently sitting at 16-3, very respectable. You've got down to the weight you want to be at now, 145, I believe. So just kind of take me through the first part of your season and how you feel about how it's gone.
First part, I decided if I want to go 145 or 152 based on district and whatever. But yeah, 145, I feel good at 45. I've lost one time at 45. I lost my other 2 times at 52, but yeah.
Okay. And right before break, you had the Pella tournament, and I know that's one you guys always look forward to because one, it's Pella for one. It's at Pella, it's close, and it's a good tournament. And then you get your holiday break. So you came in with the second place there. Tell me about that tournament, how it went.
It went good. I went to the finals. I lost in the finals, obviously, to Tristan Sales, number 4. But other than that, I was happy with it.
Okay, and then since the break, of course, we got everything snowed out this weekend, so the Winterset tournament we were scheduled to go to on Saturday did not happen. But you did have a Newton duel on Thursday this past week, and you won your match there. And boy, that was a thrilling duel. I mean, it literally came down to the very last match, and we came up 1 point short. So talk about your performance, and then also just about the team in that duel.
Yeah, my performance, I faced a kid that was like 50-50. Penned him in a minute, but a lot of our returning guys, we all won, but our guys who lost, they didn't need to give up pins, they gave up pins, so.
Yeah, and it really did. It came down to the last one. You don't like to pin it on one person or anything, but we had a 17-point lead going into the last 3 or 4 weights, I think, and ended up coming up short 41-40 in the duel with Newton. So now we get ready for a busy week coming up. You've got DCG coming in on Thursday, and DCG is pretty stacked from what I hear. So obviously your focus is the 145-pound class. So tell me about your matchup coming up Thursday with DCG.
I'm not worried about it. I'm only worried about a few kids, but other than that, I'm not worried about any other teams right now except the guys in my district.
Okay, and what is it that you're focusing on right now yourself individually? What types of things are you trying to accomplish on the mat to get where you want to become districts?
I need to be in shape. I feel like I'm lack shape. Third period rolls around, I'm a little tired. I want to get to where I'm not tired at all.
Okay, so are you a guy that would rather, well, this is kind of a silly question, but would you rather end a match quickly with a pin, or do you want to go out there and get some work in and maybe wrestle a full 6 minutes? Because come districts, you're probably going to have to do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously you don't want to do that, but yeah, you got to do that every once in a while to keep in shape because it's just, you got to do it.
Sure. And what kind of wrestler are you? Kind of describe yourself to us, those that haven't seen you wrestle. What is your style, and what is, if you could script out your match, what kinds of things would you like to do?
I'm good on my feet. I'm good on top, and like if I take a kid down, I'm not gonna just let him up. I'm gonna ride him out. I ride a lot and ride a lot of legs.
And riding, being on the top is not easy to do. I mean, it's a lot harder than it looks for people just watching. So when you're riding, what things are you looking for, and what moves do you look for out of the top position?
My top moves are the cradle and the chicken wing, and I run those and I run those and I run those and wait for the kid to break, and I'll get back points or pin from it.
Okay. Let's talk about this team now. We've got decent numbers this year. We've got a lot of youth. You as a senior, obviously your last chance to get the state tournament, so you're focused on that individually. Are you taking a leadership role in the room too?
Yeah, I'm the captain and I lead the kids, yeah. But I'm just trying to focus on myself now because pretty much individual on out.
It is. And I've talked to Coach Weber about this before, but I'm interested to hear your input on it. How hard is it to balance the individual, but yet we still have the team, and I'm a senior captain? How hard is that to do?
Well, on dual nights, obviously, you're in as a team, but individual like tournaments, you're yourself, and that's where you kind of balance it out. Dual nights, team, tourney, it's you.
Okay, and you mentioned districts a lot. Of course, in Class 3A where Oskaloosa wrestles, we don't have to go through the sectionals like the smaller schools do, just the districts, and the top 2 finishers in each weight class go to the state tournament. It's not an easy district. It never is for us in 3A. We've got Southeast Polk there again this year. You've got Ankeny Centennial and some others. So what are you foreseeing at 145 pounds, the guys that you're going to face, and what do you feel your chances are to get to the well?
So I have a ranked kid from Southeast Polk, ranked number 80 or something. And then I don't know for sure or not, but there's the number 1 at 52 from Ankeny Centennial. He might drop to 45, so it just depends.
Okay. And like we said, it's a very tough district, as it always is. And I know yourself and some of our other seniors, Cody Gunn, and Leland Evans is having a great year. He's a junior. Keegan at heavyweight. I mean, those are some of the guys that we think maybe have a shot to get it through. So what would, team-wise, what would we be happy with? It's been a few years since we've had representation on the mats at Wells.
I'd be happy with 3. 3 is a lot better than what we've been doing, so 3's going to be fine.
Sure. How do you grade this program right now? You've been in it 4 years, and you're going to leave your mark after you graduate this year. But how do you foresee the future? Is it on the way up? Is it getting back?
It's on the way up. I think next year's going to be another rough year because we're going to lose me, Cody, Keegan, and it's going to be rough. But I think we got Evans, we got BB, we got Salvador Gonzalez, we got Trey Miller. So
Yeah, a lot of good youth in the program for sure. So let's talk about your road to high school. You went through youth wrestling. I mean, I remember watching you wrestle when you were this tall, when my son was in there as a young kid. But talk about the youth wrestling and the dedication that you've given and the focus that you've given to wrestling to get you where you are today.
Yeah, I started at Chaos when I was, 5, and then I went to Young Bucks, and I worked my tail off for the longest time to do. And I'm still, like, kids do it every day. There's all the kids that are at the state tournament, they'll all have wrestled their youth days. I remember wrestling in state tournaments at youth nationally, all over the U.S., and it takes dedication to be where everybody else is at.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every once in a while you'll see a guy that didn't wrestle till freshman year that ends up at the state tournament qualifying, but for the most part, it is guys that have worked since they were 4 or 5 years old, like you said. What advice do you give to the little kids out there? I know the Oski Youth Wrestling Program is growing as well. You've got Young Bucks, obviously. You've got Eddyville programs. You've got Siebold. There's some good youth programs in this area. So what recommendations do you give to youth?
Wrestle, but I wouldn't wrestle all year round because I don't want them to get burnt out. Wrestling, you can get burnt out wrestling really easily, but yeah, you got to wrestle young if you want to be a competitive, you want to be a state placer or anything, you're going to have to wrestle young because everybody else does it.
Absolutely. That's well said. A couple other quick things. We got Cody Gunn back now after the holiday break. How exciting is that to actually see Cody get to go out there and in his first match back get a 24-second follow against Newton? Yeah, that
was exciting. It's my practice partner, so I'm finally relieved to have a practice partner again.
Well, now he's healthy. You can't just beat him anymore.
Yeah.
Well, Wyatt, what are your plans for after high school? After wrestling, after baseball this summer? What are your plans?
I'm going to DMAC, and I'm taking a course for learning everything about construction, from concrete to finishing a house.
Okay. All right. Well, you got your future all planned out, and we have another half of wrestling to go this year, and then you get busy in the summer with baseball again too, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Wyatt, we appreciate you coming in, taking time out of your weekend. We'll let you get back out to shoveling snow, and we'll see you Thursday against DCG. Good luck to you.
Thanks.
That is Wyatt Creer. He's one of our senior captains on the Oskaloosa wrestling team. He wrestles at 145 pounds. Having a great season, 16-3 so far for Wyatt Creer. And just a reminder, we're going to see a lot of Oskaloosa wrestling right here on the Indians Network over the next 5 weeks or so, as we have, I think, four looks at the Oskaloosa wrestling team coming up the next 4 Thursdays, in fact, back to back, all home meets. So we hope you can come and support them. If not, we hope you can watch right here on the Indians Network. Take a break. More to come on the Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee. Right after this.
Oskaloosa. It's our community, and we're thankful to be a part of it. Telling its stories, sharing its smiles. We're building community, keeping you informed, giving you a voice, letting you know you're never alone during the victories and the losses, happiness and pain. For tomorrow's a new day, and we'll be there, working for you, ready to tell your story. That's our commitment. It's what we do, now and in the future. Because we're always on. We're Oskaloosa News.
Thank you once again for joining us and watching this week's edition of the Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee. Big thanks to our guests who made it in to join us today. Oskaloosa boys basketball coach DeJuan Foster, also wrestling coach Chase Weber, and senior captain wrestler Wyatt Creer for being on the program with us here in the studio today. Good luck to everybody this week in activities for Oskaloosa High School. It's going to be a busy week, busy couple of weeks, and it all gets going on Monday this week as Oskaloosa girls and boys make up their games that were snowed out on Friday. We go to Pella on Monday night, girl-boy doubleheader. That's a 6:15 girls game followed by the boys. Then on Tuesday, the Indian girls and boys basketball teams are home. They host Indianola. Be a couple of tough matchups there. On Thursday, the Oskaloosa wrestling team is home. They host DCG in a conference duel that you can see right here on the Indians Network. And then Friday, the girls and boys basketball teams are on the road at Pella Christian. Big night at Pella Christian. They're going to honor their championship teams from the 90s. And it's going to be a big night. I expect a full gym and a just sky-high exciting atmosphere on Friday night for those games at Pella Christian. And then Saturday, split venues. The boys basketball team is home hosting Cedar Rapids Jefferson. The girls will hit the road at Washington. Those are both non-conference games. And the wrestling team will be at a very tough Ankeny tournament coming up on Saturday. So busy week lies ahead. Good luck to everybody. And again, thanks to those of us, to those coaches and athletes for joining us here today. Thank you for watching, and thank you to our sponsors, Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee. For all of us at the Indians Network, my name is Jamie Brockman. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next week. Go Indians!